So we're going to look at some machine learning today, and I'm playing around with machine learning right now with this website. It's using a thing called PoseNet, and PoseNet lets you look at the camera or a picture actually, and detect position. So this is detecting my eyes, and I made a little thing so I can cry little beads, and if I raise my hand up, they get bigger, and if I move my other arm around, I can change their color. And it's kind of fun. And let's look. So if I open this up, you can see me, and I can close that and do that. So what this is using a few things actually. It's using P5 to sort of bring everything together. It's using ml5, which is the machine learning library that works really well with P5, and it's using a thing called matter.js to do all the lovely falling balls and the gravity and the physics. So let's have a look at how we might do this. So here's a kind of example of what's going on here. So if I stand back, you'll see it's detecting my body, so I can move around, and it's got a kind of skeleton in here, and it's got my hands, my eyes, my ears, and all that kind of stuff. So this is the P5 editor. I've got some code in here, and it's using ml5 and putting some stuff, getting it to work. So let's have a little look at ml5. So ml5 is over here, so you go to the website, it'll look like this. And let me just, there we go. So here's ml5, and there's an introduction to it here, and it's fantastic, and it's in development at the moment. It's been up for a while, but there's active work on this, and there's some great videos online by Daniel Schiffman on the coding train. I really encourage you to go and look at them. And what it is, it's basically allowing people to use machine learning stuff easily without having to be a kind of really hardcore programmer. So there's some really hard stuff in machine learning if you get into it, and it's really good. But if you just want to use some of these great techniques that people have developed, like PoseNet, here you can see an example of that, or image detection, there's YOLO over there, or Pix2Pix is a sort of style transfer thing, I think, where you can kind of get an image and make it look like another image. Sort of object recognition. You can use Google's Quick Draw, and there's all sorts of fun stuff here. And there's a getting started thing here. And I would say, check out some of this. If you go to the intro to ml5, it's got a nice introduction of how to sort of build something here. I think some of the stuff it's asked you to do, like download a text editor and some other things here, is maybe not the first step to try. I mean, what I do, the way I like to play with a bit of code, is to use the editor. If I'm going to use P5, I use the editor, because the editor's fantastic. So let's load the P5 editor, and let's start adding some stuff here. Now, this example here by Carl McDonald works really well. So this is actually a really good starting point. But I think I might just sort of add some things in myself, because I can see it's been made in 2018. I know there's probably some updates there. So let's just have a look. I'll just stop this for a minute, make this a bit bigger. And if you open up his sketch here, we can see there's an HTML file here, and it's loading in certain versions of P5 and ml5 that might not be the latest. So let's kind of get the latest thing, do something really similar, and build this up. So going to the ml5, where is it? Going to the ml5 intro, and it's got a little demo here. I might look at some of their code and add theirs. So what they're doing, I can see, is they're getting the latest ml5 here, and they're getting possibly the latest P5. So another thing you can do is just start a new sketch. If you log into P5, make sure you're logged in up here. I'm logged in. Start a new sketch like I have, and you can look at the HTML file and see what's going in here. So if I look in here, I can see they've got latest version of P5. I've also got P5 sound. I don't need that. I'm not going to do anything with sound, so I'm going to get rid of that. If you want to do something with sound, you can leave it in there. And I'm going to add some other stuff in here, and I'm going to copy some of the stuff from here. So I want this ml5. Let's add that in. Let's give myself a bit more room here. And there's some other useful stuff in here, like well, what else do I want? So I've got that. Actually, you know what? I'm going to leave it like that for now. I'm just going to leave it like that. That's all we need. We just need to make sure we have the ml5 thing and the p5 thing. And now, because I've loaded ml5, I can start to use it. And so right now we just got the canvas. There's no machine learning going on here right now. Now, because this sketch by Carl McDonald works, let's use it. But I'll just show you actually another place you can find it as well. So if you want to actually go to the P5, so the ml5 place and find it, we could go to PoseNet and get their demo from here. So there's a nice description here. There's a nice little quick start thing here. Tells you how to initialize it and all the things you need to do. And there might be some differences, so maybe we'll just compare that. Who knows? Let's have a look. So one thing I want to do, one thing I definitely want to copy from here, because it works really well, is I want to use the webcam. I don't want to load in a picture. I want to sort of load, use the webcam and use the webcam as my image. So let's copy some stuff from here. And actually, if you want to use the webcam, you could just Google P5 webcam and you'll find this code that's talking about create capture, right? So, but let's just copy some stuff. So copy video. So we're going to want a variable called video, right? Let video makes a video variable. Because I'm declaring it up the top here, I can use it in all my functions down here. Which one's this? Okay, let's get rid of that. So just double check I'm still in the right place. Yeah, I've got my P5 thing there. Right. Also what I'm going to do is give this a name. We're going to call it PoseNet. Save it. And now it's saved. I can just hit save anytime or Command S every now and again just to make sure. So I've got a variable for video. Then I need to do these two things. This first line, so after my canvas line here, video equals create capture video. So that's now working. And you can see it's already added me video down the bottom of the page here. You can see I've got like kind of video things appeared. It's actually in the HTML. It's not on my canvas. It's sort of appearing down the bottom of the page here. I'm scrolling up and down now. I don't actually want it down the bottom of the page there. So we're going to do some other things. So first of all, we're going to size it to the width and height of the canvas. So let's copy that, paste it in. I'll put auto refresh on, and now it's the same width and height as my canvas, which is really handy. So it's actually a bit shorter than my canvas, but it's I guess it's kind of got a bit of white space above it and below it. Now, what I want to do is hide the video. So I'm going to hide the video. So if I do this, the video is now hidden. And that's hidden the video on the HTML page. It was never in my canvas, and I don't want it on the HTML page. We want to use the video and then later put it in the canvas. So that's my, so the video is still there somewhere, it says hidden. And I know the video is still there because my little red light is on, which means it's recording me, and I've got a green light on my Mac as well. Now we want to do some stuff with PoseNet. Well, actually, no. First of all, let's make the video reappear. That's what we want to do. So this line here, it's going to do that. So what this is doing, it's distorted it as well. but it's taking the video, this is the first line here, and it's drawing that to an image. And then it's putting it at 0, 0, which is the top left, and then it's making it the width and the height. Now, if I remove width and height, what does that do? That's stopped it being distorted. So there are two ways I could stop it being distorted. I could remove the width and height like that, or I could make sure my canvas size is the same ratio as the video, which I might do anyway. 640 by 480. You can see it's done here, which happens to be the same ratio as most web cameras. But that's not guaranteed, of course. There are various ways of making sure your image isn't distorted. This is perhaps not the best, but this will do for now. And I know now my canvas is probably the same size as my video, so it just sort of works. So there's my video back. So what I did there is I made a variable, and I made that variable equal to the create capture video. And if you go to the P5 reference, this basically grabs your webcam. And it needs permissions, so it probably asks you to click a button. And then I'm sizing my video, and then I'm hiding it because the default is it actually shows it on the web page, not in your canvas, not in your P5 canvas, but on the web page itself. So I'm hiding it. And then I'm drawing it back into the canvas. And that's a bit of a weird thing to do, but it means we can then manipulate that image and do stuff to it. So it's kind of a nice technique. So right now we're not doing any machine learning. I'm going to save it because I'm at a stage where this is kind of working. Now, I could just copy all the ml5 stuff from here, but I'm interested to see if anything's changed. See if PoseNet have done something. So here's PoseNet. So let's see what it's doing. So they have a little quick start thing here about getting an element by ID video, and so we shouldn't need to do this bit because we already have our video. Let's just see if this stuff works. Okay, first of all, we want to make a new constant called PoseNet and make that equal to this ml5 thing. So that's basically going to hook up PoseNet, throw a video to the internet to PoseNet, or well, throw it to the PoseNet script, and then when it's detected something and understood it, it's then going to load a function or run a function. This is the callback. So when the model's loaded, it's going to tell us that the model is loaded, and then it's going to start to listen to changes. So as the frames are being sort of thrown at the model, it's going to give us some results. So let's just see how this works. So we can see how they do it here as well. So you can see in this original one from 2018, we can see in the setup it's done a very, very similar thing. It's done a P5 post. I mean, it's identical basically. So let's copy some of that across. So we can do this. Well, I've got an error now because I haven't made this thing here model loaded yet. The other thing that we might want to do is declare PoseNet up the top, because that allows it to be used both in setup and in draw. I think that's going to be useful. Or maybe we don't need to do that, because I only need it down here. Let's have a look. Anyway, first of all, I need to make this model ready thing. So let's go back here. I'm going to need this function down here. I may not even need this, but let's put it in. So when the model's loaded, it's going to say model loaded. There we go, model loaded. And it's saying it repeatedly because I rather stupidly put this in draw. We only want it to do once. Let's stop the sketch before everything crashes. Right, so I've cut it from there. I'm going to put it up there. You definitely don't want to do that on every frame. Let's hit play again. So there we go, model loaded. So we know we're working. We know PoseNet is working, and we don't necessarily need to do anything in here, but we could. When the model's loaded, we could do something. We might not want to do something before the model's loaded. And we're going to need to listen to new pose events. So this thing here is going to listen to new pose events. So let's copy that and we'll put that down there. So it's doing let's just tidy that up, tidy code. Right, so this is doing something, right? So when it gets some results, it's saying poses equal results. Now, really, perhaps we want to do something with these poses. So what Carl McDonald here has done is he's set poses up as an array at the very beginning. So we might have to talk about arrays if arrays aren't familiar, but I'm going to first of all just see what are these poses, what is going on here, because there's no idea. I have no idea what these results are yet. So what we could do is say console log poses and see what's happening. So you can see there's lots of stuff going on down here, and these objects are sort of flying into this console here thick and fast before I can really look at them. So I'm going to use Chrome's console. And if I hit Command Option I in Chrome, I get the console here. And in this console, I can scroll up a little bit and it sort of stops scrolling. So I actually look at one of these. So let's open up one of these. So I open up this and I can see, okay, so I've got this, basically this is an array, and it's an array of poses. But I've only got one pose in here, which means it just detected one human. So PoseNet can detect lots of humans, but in this case it's just got one of me. And if I open that up, I can see there's a thing called a pose and a thing called a skeleton. And the skeleton's another array. And the skeleton, it's detected a right shoulder and a left shoulder. And I can open these up and I can see they've got a position. So it's got an XY position of my shoulder. It's got a score. It's got all sorts of information in there. I'll tell you what these mean in a minute. So if I look down here, we have the poses are these different areas. So there's different parts of my body. There's where my nose is, for instance. I've also got a thing called key points. And key points is a kind of similar thing as well. So, for instance, it thinks it knows where my nose is, right? There's the position, and it's got a score. The score is how certain is it that this is my nose. So a very, very low score means it may be an error, and an error is happening here as well. So basically, this is the stuff I want, and with this, I can do some really cool things. So what I'm going to do is make a variable at the top to store these poses so I can use them later. So let's make an array. Let poses equal an empty array. So this is an empty array. And I'm going to stop this because every time I do this, there's a little pause. Right. Now what an array is just a list of things. It's a bunch of things separated by commas. So now, because I made the array up here, and I've said poses equal results, I'm just going to comment out that right now, otherwise it's going to keep spitting this text down here, and it's a bit annoying. But now I can use these poses, and I can use them in the draw thing and make some pretty stuff. So let's see what, well, I could look at what Carl McDonald's done here. He's doing two things, right? So let's have a look at his draw function. There's setup, we've done all that setup stuff. And there's draw, and in the draw he's doing two things. Draw key points, draw skeleton. And they're basically doing the same thing. They're looking at this data. One's drawing the dots. So key points, let's have a look. Key points doing these dots on my eyes, they're the key points. And the skeleton, occasionally you see these lines. And that's the skeleton. Now let's have a look at what he does. So what he does is here is saying he's doing a for loop, which is looping through all the poses. And then, so the multiple poses are multiple humans, multiple people it's recognizing. And for each one of those, he says, let pose equal poses I. So it'll start with 0, then 1, 2, 3, 4. And he's looking at that single pose. And then he does another loop to go through all the key points. And remember, we saw those key points in that array. And for each one of them, he says, get the key point. So if the key points is also this big array, if you remember that was also an array, and we can look at that in a second. And he goes to the number of that. So he's got this for loop, and j starts at 0. So the first one's going to be the first key point. Then he checks the score, make sure the score's above 0.2, because the low score is going to be, maybe it's wrong. And if it is right, he sets a fill of red, and then he makes an ellipse at the position of the key point, and he makes it 10, 10. So, we could muck around here and make that 40, 40, and I could make the fill a different color. And you'll see certain things change. So now I've got big yellow dots, which is interesting. So we know this stuff works. And I'm just interested to see if PoseNet have updated their usage. So this is telling you the different ways we can initialize it. We've done that though, but you can have a read in here, and I would definitely recommend going to ml5 and reading this. So we've got various things we can do here. We can scale things, we can flip things, we can set up minimum and maximum confidences actually. So we could set these thresholds in PoseNet actually by setting these options. These are all options we can pass to it. I'm not going to do that now, but something we could do. And then there's a bunch of stuff which explains everything in here, and loads of kind of helpful documentation. I'm just going to go back up here and just check out. Do they have some examples in here? Maybe the examples are down the bottom. So I'm sure there's a demo. Okay. I thought I saw some examples of this on here, which is oops, let's have a look. PoseNet, getting started, FAQ. I made it a bit small because I thought they'd maybe only saw it when it was bigger. Let's have a look. Let's make sure I'm in the right place. So PoseNet examples. Oh, okay. So PoseNet webcam in P5. In the P5 web editor. Let's see what they've done there. They've obviously got... Oh, look, here's a newer document, 2019. I mean, to be honest, we could just copy all of this. Yeah, looking at this, it's exactly the same as Carl McDonald's, but I think it's really useful to go through it all. So what's nice here is we can, if you're logged in, you can go File, Duplicate, and you could just use this as a starter. We're not doing that because we're going through it and trying to understand it. As you can see, it's done exactly the same stuff. It's set up poses up here. It's also set up PoseNet as a variable at the top here, so it can be used elsewhere. I think we might do that as well. So let's change that in our example. So let's PoseNet, and then we don't need to declare it as a constant there. Okay, so that should do the same thing, and it should still work. Let's just stop this one and just double check. It's worth checking the thing works every time you change something. Yep. Okay, model loaded. Now, let's understand what else they've done. So, done that. We've done all this exactly the same. Now, they're doing their draw key points and draw skeleton. So I think we'll do the same thing. So let's understand that. So draw key points, we need to loop through all the poses. So let's do something really similar. And what might be fun is to we could just copy paste it, of course. Let's try and do it. So function draw key points, and what we need to do is loop through the poses here. So we've got poses, load of poses here, and then we want to check out each pose. And so what might be worth doing here is, first of all, I like to have a look at what the data is. So we could look at console log poses, which is what I did before. And then I'll put draw key points in my draw function here. So it gets called. So now we've got we've basically just moved this down here. So if I press play now, open up my Chrome console. Let's have a look at one of these. So this is an array. I know it's an array because it's got square brackets there, and within the array is other stuff, an object, which is the curly bracket. So I open that up. So it's an array with one thing. So it's got one pose. And as I said, if we put multiple people in here, we'd have multiple poses. And within this pose is a thing called pose. So we know we need to look at poses 0, and then pose. And then within pose, we're going to have to look at key points. And there is other stuff we could look at down here, but key points, it's going to be easier to look at key points because key points is an array, and I can easily loop through an array. That's why arrays are nice and easy with this kind of thing, because you can loop through them. And so what I could do, I could kind of keep this open and look at it, but I think I might just close that for now so we can try and loop through this. So we need to do a loop for, let's start a loop. When I do loops, I always turn this off and turn off auto refresh. It's quite easy to type something wrong when you make a loop and accidentally try and loop through infinity, which then crashes your browser. So let's say let I equal 0, and then we need to loop through all of the poses. So I must be less than the length of the poses. I mean, it was only 1, but if someone else walks in, we might have more than 1 people. So post.length, and then we just say I plus plus. So that is going to loop through all the poses. And for each one of these, we need to look at the pose. So, and then for each pose, we want to go through the key points. Okay, so I believe we need to do something like let key points equal poses I. So the current pose dot pose dot key points. I think this might be a bit different from what happened before. Feeling strangely confident this might work. Oh, it could be multiple poses. I don't know. Let's console log this and see what I have. Console log key points. There's no error, and I've got stuff, so that's encouraging. So now I have a load of arrays still. Oh, I've still got this. I don't want that, do I? Okay, so let's try again. Let's clear this. Model loaded. I'm getting nothing. I've clearly done something wrong. Okay, let's. But this is how we're understanding arrays. Oh, rainbows. This has changed. ML5 didn't used to give you rainbows. Now it does. That's cool. So let's have a look at this. Right. Nothing in there, but as we go down, we start to get something. So pose 0 dot pose dot key points didn't give me anything. So that's interesting. Let's cheat and have a look. So for each of them, pose equals pose.pose. Well, I'd have thought that would do the same thing, but I'm clearly missing something here. The other thing we can do is label this. You can label things in the console. Makes it easier sometimes. Let's have a look. Let's clear this. Right, so there's our poses. Well, we're definitely not spitting out anything down here. So, oh, I forgot a G there. Length. That won't help. fact, what we should do is first of all just check. So let's just check I'm getting anything in here and I've not done something really silly. So the old console log hello trick, just to check I'm actually getting something. Yes, okay, so I'm definitely getting something in this loop. It's saying hello, right? Okay, so hello's working, but key points won't work. But if I do poses I can check that. Okay, so I'm getting the first pose here. I'm calling it key points. It's not key points yet. Let's do poses I dot pose. And try that. Right. So now I have the pose, and I can see the first thing in this object is key points. So I ought to be able to say dot key points. Clear this again. Yes, it does work. So I think the only issue was I spelt length wrong. That's what I did wrong. Okay, so cool. We've got the key points. So we've got rid of all the other stuff here. So now I've got a single array called key points, and this is an array of objects. So it's worth looking up if you're not sure how objects and arrays work. There's a lot, if you just type in JavaScript objects, JavaScript arrays, Daniel Schiffman does some good stuff on it as well. But basically the way you work your way through an array is you tell it what thing you want in the array. And in this case, I'm saying I want the thing that's the I thing. So the first pose, second pose, third pose as I go through this loop. And the way you find things in an object is use dot notation. So dot pose, dot key points, they're selecting these things in the object. So have a little play with that if you're not sure. But now I've got the key points, I want to do another loop. So again, I'm going to stop it because, well actually, I think as long as auto refresh is off, you're okay. But so for, and we need to choose some different letter now because I've used I, so J, for J equals 0. And J is less than, well, we better, let's just do that. So we know that's going to be key point. So J is less than key points dot length J++. Now in here, I want to go through every key point and do something with it. So remember that trick with the score. So I want to make sure the score is, I mean, to be honest, the first thing we do is just check ourselves, console log, and then we want to do key points, J. So the jth key point I want to look at. Again, if I do that, get my Chrome console, because it's much easier to look at. Because as soon as you scroll up, it stops, whereas the console down here doesn't. It just keeps scrolling forever. And this is all Chrome colors it nicely. So will Firefox and Safari, by the way. So I can see each key point's got this kind of stuff. So I want to check the scores. So like, look, it's saying right wrist. It's really got no confidence in my right wrist here. But I know I can get position, and position is another object, and it's got an X and a Y. I've even got the part name. So, well, what I could do first of all, I could draw every key point. Let's do that first. Let's draw every key point, and then I think we'll do something a bit more fun. We'll do something different from their example, of course. So, if key points J, so the one we're looking at, if its score is greater than, and what did they say? What do they reckon is confident? 0.2. Okay, that'll do us then. If it's greater than 0.2. Then let's draw something. So I I mean, it's interesting. I wonder if they use circles, because no, they use an ellipse. So it's interesting how I see ellipse quite a lot. I like using circles because it's the most simple object. It's the most simple form I think, in P5. Because it only takes three variables. So why not keep things simple? So, and they were making circles anyway. So let's put a circle at. So we're going to do a circle. And it's x, so you put three things in a circle, x, y, diameter. So the first thing is going to be at key points j dot position dot x. That'll get us our x position, I hope. And I copy all of that because it's a bit laborious to type. And then I'm going to say on the y, and I'm going to want oh, I didn't want to copy all of that. That was a bit much. So let's make this a bit bigger so you can see what I'm doing. So it's x position, it's y position. Then I want a size. So, I mean, I could just say, let's make it 20 pixels. And then Alt to draw a dot on everything it recognizes if this works. Yay, that worked. So that's good. Right, so I've got a little white circle on everything, and as you can see, it's kind of sticking to me, which is great. We might want to change the fill. So we could say fill. What color should we make it? Green. Okay, so 0.255. You know what we could do? We could use a CSS color, tomato. Everyone loves tomato. And let's put on auto refresh so we see these things change. And we could turn off, so we've got little tomato ones, and we've got, let's take the stroke off, so no stroke. And that has kind of replicated the dots. But you know what? I've done it in fewer lines. I think this, for me, why make a variable when you don't have to? I don't necessarily have to make this variable, key points, I can put all of that in there, but I think it's a little bit easier to read like this. And sometimes you want to say tidy code just to get your spacing right. That's a little bit shorter than what they've done, so that's nice. Now I could draw the skeleton as well. The skeleton, they've done very, very similarly, and you can see they're drawing lines, and the line goes from the first bit to the second bit of the skeleton. So we could have a look at the poses. So let's turn that back on again. I'm going to save this while the going's good. Oops, I don't want to do that. I want to uncomment out that, and then let's have a look at how they're doing the skeleton. So wait till it loads. There we go, it's loaded, right. So we've got, I was still logging out key points. We want to stop doing that. It's good to turn logging off, by the way, because logging slows the thing down. It's, you use it when you need to and then stop it. So the skeleton, I've got this array, and then it's got each bit of the array, and part left shoulder, part right shoulder, so it's got an X and a Y. Now how are they drawing the line? So part A is skeleton. So skeleton J0, skeleton J1. So each one of these skeleton bits must have two parts, which I didn't see there. Oh yeah, it does, yeah, okay. So skeleton 0 has got a left shoulder and right shoulder, of course, and it's drawn a line between them. Okay, so that's smart. So there will be other bits here. So if I stood up and moved back, you would see other bits of the skeleton. So if I clear this, I'll stand back. I'm standing back now. So I'm hoping if I stop it now, let's have a look. First it thinks there's two people in here, which is interesting. Let's see what this one looks like. Skeleton. Oh, it's still only got two bits there. Maybe it needed. Let's have a look and see if it gets me now. Yep. So we've got two things here. We've got I know we've only got one thing there. I mean, I wonder what the other pose was. What pose 0? Did that have more than one bit? Yeah, I need to stand a lot further back. But basically, for each thing in the skeleton, you get two things. And that means you can draw a line from the first to the second. But we're not going to draw a skeleton. If you want to draw a skeleton, you can copy and paste the code in there. You just copy paste the whole function and put it in the draw loop like they have there, or just copy this whole thing. It's fine. But the important thing is to understand what's going on here, so that then we can do some fun stuff. So, for instance, you could say, well, I don't even need the video. I could comment out my video, and I could just have dots. So there's these dots here, which might be fun. I could say I don't want to draw the background every frame. If I don't draw the background every frame, I can draw with my key points. So I'm doing a little drawing. And that's what I thought might be a bit of fun. So let's put things in a bit for now. Now, what if you don't want to draw every single body part? What if I only want to draw certain things? Now, I know their names, which is really interesting, right? So I can go into here, go into my key points. I'll console log them again and have a look. Now, what have we got? We've got all these bits. We can see them sort of flying around there. Now let's just stop it and see what I've got. Now, I know one, see, look, these are all the names. There's nose, left eye, right eye, all that kind of thing. So let's choose the nose. And how does it look? So if I open it up, part left eye or part nose. So I can say in this if statement, now I've already got an if statement. I'm looking at the score. Is the score greater than 2? And what I can say is, and is it a nose? So let's do that. And key points J. It was not the score, but the part. I've got auto refresh on here, which is annoying because it takes a while to load, but part equals nose. You can't have a single equals. It'll be a triple equals. Is equal to, not it equals nose. Okay, so now we hit play again. P5's great the way it tells you that. Look, little underline. And it sort of tells you something's going on there. A lot of editors don't do that. P5's, and it gives lovely comments when you get something wrong as well. Okay, so hit play. Hopefully I've only got a nose now. Yeah, that's awesome. Look at that. So what I could do is get the background and the image and not draw it every frame. I could draw it once, perhaps. Let's take it out and draw it once and set up and see what happens. Need to hit play again. So I've drawn a grey background and I'm now drawing with my nose by tilting my head left and right. It's a bit stuttery. I think, to be honest, the stutteriness is because of my webcam and also me recording the screen. You'll probably get this much smoother if you don't do that. I can do a drawing. And once I'm here, I can do all kinds of other stuff. So for instance, I might say, rather than make it, I could draw with the, if I get closer to the screen, I could draw. So I can do, yeah, let's do that because that'd be fun to do. So what I'm going to want to do is cut that out. First of all, I want to know about all my key points at the moment. I just want to say if key point part is nose, draw a circle. I'm going to do it down here instead and you'll see why in a minute. So let's put that in there. So I'm just checking, I've got a nose and then I'll draw it, but I want to know about my other key points because I want to do something with the eyes. So for instance, let's do the eyes as well. So I could say, let's copy all of this and say if key point equals right eye. I think that's what it's called. That's a good guess. Okay, so I've got my right eye and my nose, and for now I'm going to get these things back in the image because it's just going to help me figure out what's going on. There we go. Right. Now, so I want to draw it. If I've got, so I want to know about my right eye or left eye. So let's copy that. And then I want to have or. So pipe to do or, and then left eye. And what I could do here is give myself a red nose, comedy red nose down there, and give it no stroke. But if I'm drawing eyes, I'm going to have no fill. And then I'll have stroke weight 4, and then a stroke that's white. Let's have a look. There we go. So I've got a little, they're a bit small, aren't they? Let's make the circle bigger. Let's make it 100. Give myself comedy glasses. So you could easily, like, you know, stick a silly face on yourself, right? My nose should be bigger, right? But we're gonna work on that. So this already is fun. What if I wanted to make the nose bigger as I got closer and smaller as I got further away? That would make sense. And how would you do that? Now there's some easy ways of doing that in P5, because P5 lets you, like, if you want to know the distance between my eyes, you need a bit of trigonometry because they're sometimes at an angle, and you know. But there's a thing. P5's got a thing for that. So if we search for dist P5, or distance P5 would let you find it. It's letting you look at that. This is beautiful. Telling the distance. So there's a little function in P5. There's loads of these little helper functions. It lets you put in 4 points, x, y, x, y, and it gives you a distance between them. And we can use that distance to make something bigger or smaller. So we could say, right, we've got the eye stuff here. So let nose size equal dist, and we want to know the right eye position and the left eye position. So what we could do is say let right eye equal well, let's say we now what's the most efficient way of doing this? Okay, so let's change some things up. So take that out there. And I think we will copy this, paste it down there, and we're going to do right one first and then the left one. Now, if you've got, you know, you can let me know if you think there are better ways of doing this. There could well be, but it's nice keeping it really descriptive. We should if we're going to keep the circles for the eyes, we should probably make a function that draws them. I'm repeating code. That's not good. I mean, I'm just basically saying I'm not going to use the eyes. They look silly, right? So let's just record position. So what we're going to do is say we need a right eye and a left eye. We always want to know what the right eye and left eye is. So let's add that in. Let right eye, let left eye. So right eye, I think we should make these an array. There's 2 numbers, so we want to have the x be that and the y be y, and we're going to do the same thing with the left eye. This is going to be left eye. So now I've got the position of the right eye and the left eye. I can make my nose size the distance between the two. So this should probably work. We might want to check that the left eye and the right eye are visible. That might do something weird to the nose. But to start off with, let's just say right eye. We want the X position, so that'd be 0. Right eye is the first thing in the array, and then we're going to have right eye 1. We want left eye 0, left eye 1. So that is going to get the distance between the right eye and the left eye, I hope. We're going to make that the nose size. It might be a bit too big. We might need to divide it by something. Let's just try that in there. Okay. Well, that's not happy. Can't read properly naught of undefined. Well, that's probably because it didn't detect the right eye or the left eye, so it's crashed. It's got me looking quite worried there, quite understandably. So what I want to do is make sure that no size exists anyway, and we'll just make it equal to 20 to be a default. We'll try that. Still got an issue. Can't read naught of undefined. Line 56. Okay, so what actually is going on there? Line 56. Oh yeah. So if some of these don't exist, like if right eye, if these aren't, if you know what, if we make these arrays, then they should also exist, and we'll make them naught naught. Let's do that. Right, now we're cooking. Okay, so if I go back, it should get smaller. Okay, forward. It should, if it sees my eyes, be bigger. Is it smaller? I think it's smaller. We could divide it, maybe it's too big, maybe we need to divide it by half. So shall we do that? Let's go no size divided by 2. Let's make it half the size. Little nose. Yeah, there you go. That works. So the nose size is relative to my distance from the screen now. And the cool thing about that is we could start to do some drawing. So what we have now, if you imagine you have a tablet and a pen, and one of those pressure sensitive pens that's used on a tablet or the Apple Pencil or something like that, you can draw and push a little bit harder and it draws bigger and less hard. So let's turn off the background and turn off the image in the drawer, and then make this a bit bigger so you can see all the picture. Okay, so I'll start back here. Somehow I've got 2 noses there, but I can move left and right. And if I move towards the screen, so I'm over here, and I'm going to go towards the screen now, we get bigger circles. And I can move away from the screen. I mean, it's really hard to draw, obviously. But it's working. It's working. I think what we could do, you know what, part of the reason why this is running so badly, I think, is because I've got all the console log stuff going on. So if we take that off, and take that off as well, all that logging makes things really jerky. So let's hit play again. It should be smoother now. Yeah, that's way smoother. Okay. It was just so, as I said before, and I ignored my own advice, turn off console log. So they're nice and big, small. I've got a really smooth drawing machine here now. Now there's loads of other stuff I could do. Now what if if you wanted to see the video and see the drawing at the same time, you could do that. The way to do that would be to use separate graphics. You can have multiple graphics and you could overlay them. Or what I did on the thing where I had those sort of tiers moving down is I actually used the HTML video and I sort of overlaid the 2 things. Maybe I'll do that. I could do that right now. So we could see both. And then I also made a way of hiding them. But if you want to do that, what I could do is rather than say video hide, I won't hide the video. And the video will appear down here. Oh, yeah, I have to hit play. So there we go. There's a video down there, and you can see me moving. So this is one thing you could do, and you could sort of scroll, you know, down. If I make everything smaller, there we go. So you can see here now, I've got the video in there, and that works fine. Now, if you wanted to overlay those two things, you could do that with CSS. That's pretty easy to do actually. So what you would do, it's tricky to get the size right. So you can read the code. But let's say I haven't saved for ages. That's quite dangerous. I'm going to save this. Let's go into here, into the HTML. And so what's happening? There's no video in the HTML. But if I load my developer tools, go to Elements, and I can look at the page up here. Oh no, well this is actually kind of hard to look at because we are, you know, we're in the editor. If I made this a standalone thing, let's make this a standalone thing. It might be easier to look at. So save this. I want this full screen. Okay, so I'm going to File, Share, Present. We'll have the same thing, full screen. Okay, so now I've opened my developer tools, which if you want to find them, by the way, they're in View, Developer. You can see it just peeking on the screen there. Developer tools in Chrome, and Safari. You actually have to go into Preferences, Advanced, turn them on, and then you find them in the same place, roughly the same place. So as you can see here, now this is, we don't see all the editor stuff because we've removed the editor, but you can see if I open the developer tools and you go to Elements, I can see there's a video down there. So I've got this video element, and it's appeared because P5 sort of made it appear in the script. It's on the screen there, next to other stuff. So how do we overlay these things? Now we can do that with CSS. So go into here. Okay, so what I want to do is make my video position. There are various ways of doing this, but I'm going to make it position absolute. And then I want to make the top 0 and left 0. And there we go. It's now overlaying everything. But I want my canvas on top of it. So what we need to do is change Z indexes to sort of layer things. So what I'll do is make my canvas. I may need to adjust its position, but let's see. So Z index 100. It only needs to be 1 bigger, but it's, you know, let's make it much bigger. But I don't think this is going to work yet, because I think what we also need to do is position this absolutely, but I might just check. How did I do this before? So I might open a new window. CSS is hard. let's make Z index 1, and I think we might need to position this absolute as well to do this. There we go. Now my canvas is on top, okay, which is great. So I don't think I actually need this Z index in here, and I think I'd only need, I might not even need this Z index. Let's see, do I even need that one? Yes, I do. Okay, so I need, give this Z index a 1. It should now work. Yes. So there's some CSS. I'd like the two things are aligned, and but the problem is you can't see the video anymore, but we can solve that. We need to not draw a background ever. I drew a background, so let's get rid of that background. We don't need that image either. So there we go. Now we can see it. So if you want to see the video, draw with your nose, you can do that. Now I'm going to leave it there, but I think what you could probably figure out is you could vary the color with a hand position, or you could vary the color with where the nose is. You could vary all kinds of things there. You know, you might not want a totally, you might not want your field to be tomato, but you also might want to say, I want a bit of transparency in there. don't know if I can do that. I don't think, yeah, you can't put transparency in and a CSS color. So let's do this something like 255 naught 30 to make it translucent red, which is kind of, you know, a bit different. If you stay in one spot, it'll get very red. So there you go. That's PoseNet, and that looks like I've got a nosebleed. So I'm not sure about this, but let's try making it white. Yeah, so have fun. I mean, there's so much you can do with ML5, and this is just one of the things. But you're using basically very advanced machine learning, and it's so quick and so easy. And it doesn't even have to be P5 you use it with. I mean, there's no reason why you couldn't use this with any sort of JavaScript application. P5 just makes things nice and easy. So just to recap, I'll put the link to this thing I've made under the video, so you can have a look. And I'll put links to everything else. But ML5, tons of great documentation here. If you want to learn more about it, read this. Also, check out Daniel Schiffman's videos, which are the coding train on YouTube. They're fantastic. And have fun. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.